I was privileged to be selected as president of the board for this year. I have done it in the past, and it's a lot of work, but it's very, very rewarding too. And it will be a really exciting year with the levy and the new board members, but I'm really, really excited to do it. One of the new things that we have this year is we have 2 new board members. We have had the same 5 people on the board for 6 years, which is great for continuity, but it's just as great to have new people. We have new ideas, new questions, new ways of doing things. It's a challenge for the district to bring them on board and help them understand how we do business and how schools work. But in the end, you gain so many beneficial things from having the new people. They're Paul Ballant and Melissa Weiss, both strong members of the community, and they have a lot to offer. They're on a tremendous learning curve and doing a great job so far. Losing Ken was a big deal for us because he had been a board member for 12 years and he had been here through some very, very critical times for Sycamore. But we know the new people will pick up right where he left, and we won't miss a beat. A huge challenge that we have this year is this new levy that we're putting on the ballot. It's a big challenge because we haven't had a levy for 12 years, and we know that our community isn't really ramped up like other communities are, where you have a levy every 4 to 6 years. But it's really essential to continue the services that we've offered. For the last 7 years, every single year we say, can we stretch the levy? Can we stretch the levy? And we have, but now it's time to add a little bit of money to our revenue stream so that we can continue the great things we do at Sycamore. Financial parameters that we put in place in 2004 really guided the financial structure of the district. It forced a culture change, which I'll have to say the entire district rose to the challenge and has accepted it. And it really forced us to look at every part of our operations and forced us to make choices to stay within our budget. We feel so strongly about how this has been successful that we know we'll do it again with the next levy, and we're starting conversations about what that would look like and what numbers we would put in it this next time to guide the next 5 years.
This past January, the Sycamore Board of Education determined that they need to place an operating levy on the ballot in 2016. Based on discussion at their January Board of Education meeting, they've determined that they will put a $6.5 mil levy on the ballot on November 8th, 2016. This would be the first time the board has asked for an increase in taxes for operations since 2004. At that point in time, the community approved a 5-year limited levy that was renewed in 2009 with no increase in the tax rate. That 12-year span is new for Sycamore. Historically, we had been on the ballot about every 6 years, and on average for about 6 mils. So we feel good about being able to keep off the ballot for the length of time that we had. There are a few reasons that we are going to be on the ballot. First, because when you look at the typical levy cycle of school districts, because there's no increase in taxes after the original levy, as expenses go up, revenues stay the same, you eventually have to be on the ballot, back on the ballot anyway. For us, we do have an additional factor in that the state has changed their budget over the past several years with a local funding source called the tangible personal property tax being phased out. The district received $12 million from this revenue source back in 2005. In the 2012-13 biennium budget for the state, they phased out $3 million of that already, and the district was able to absorb that at that period of time. In this most recent state budget, the legislature also deemed that they will be phasing out the remaining $9 million that the district receives. They'll be doing that between now and 2023. If the levy is approved in November, it'll generate $11 million annually for the district. The collection for that will begin in January of 2017. The cost to the taxpayer for this new operating levy would be $228 per every $100,000 of property value. If you think about it as part of your mortgage, that would be $19 per month for every $100,000 of market value of your home. Currently, our residential taxpayers' rate of taxation for our schools ranks 23rd out of 25 school districts in Hamilton County, and we also include our neighboring districts of Masons and Kings within that comparison. We're about 37% below the average for that comparison group, and even with the new levy, our ranking will only change to 20th out of the 25 districts in that comparison group. The Board of Education is very proud to have been able to keep off the ballot and to not have to ask our taxpayers to increase their taxes for the last 12 years. They've been able to do that by putting into place financial goals that have kept our costs low, have lowered the increases in our budget, and while doing that have been able to maintain academic excellence and opportunities for our students. They've been very diligent about making sure that they keep their investments in our buildings up to date. We've made sure we had a safe fleet and have made sure that in these very changing times that we've kept our technology in line with what our students need as well. We know information will be important for you as you make your decision on this levy. We will be putting information updates on our website beginning April 1st and continuing to address information that our community members need as they make this decision.
As superintendent, I communicated to you in the fall in our first State of the District that we would provide you an update, and this is what this update is. In my 7 months as superintendent, it's been an incredible journey as I've made connections around our great community. And here's what I've heard. There's an incredible sense of pride among the Sycamore family, pride in our schools. We are blessed with an incredible student body. We are blessed with a teaching staff and professional staff that is second to none and every day committed to doing what's right for students. We enjoy an incredible amount of support from our parents and community. All three of those factors lend towards great schools, and we are blessed to have them. As I communicated in the fall, we embarked on a journey to really examine the data we have on students. What data were we using? How were we using it? And most importantly, what have we done with that data to help us improve our instructional practices? I'm here to tell you that at this point in time, our journey has been really successful. We have teacher teams in our building that are collaborating like never before. We have building leadership teams that are looking at trend data on students in their buildings. And we have a district team that's looking and supporting our building teams and our teacher teams in how they're looking at that data as well. Our work's not done. We have much more to do, and my commitment to you is that we will continue to refine that process in the interest of student success so we can look at the relevant data and make sure we're making good decisions as we inform our instructions for every one of our Sycamore students. We began a journey this year with providing every student at grades 5 through 8 with a Chromebook. Our goal in that was to involve and integrate technology into the instructional process. What I'm able to report to you is that we are integrating technology in a seamless process. Our students are using those devices as a tool of learning, and our teachers are using those devices as a teaching tool as well. But we're not done. We've utilized this year as a pilot time for our high school to get feedback from teachers and students on what is the best device that we want to put in the hands of our high school learners. We are close to making those decisions, and as we get closer to that, my commitment to our family is that I will communicate those decisions as we prepare all of our students to be the best learners they can be in this technological world. Well, I'm extremely excited about the innovative offerings we provide our students, but we are continually looking at opportunities to enhance those offerings as well. One of the greatest things that we're doing in our buildings is our Project Lead the Way offerings at Sycamore Junior High School. Right now, our students are involved in classes on robotics and design and modeling. We expect that to grow. We're excited about the opportunities. But in the spirit of continually looking at what we can do to enhance those offerings, I want to give credit to Mrs. Neighbor, our Assistant Superintendent, who's convened a council of talented professionals in our district who have a passion for innovation. And they are looking at offerings around STEAM. And STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And they are asking the fundamental questions. What are we currently doing to engage our students in those learning? And what can we do? We are committed to looking at those offerings and seeing where we might be able to enhance them. But always keeping in mind we will do that with an eye on being good, fiscal stewards of the community resources that have been given to us. Spring has arrived and we are thinking about the 16-17 school year, and part of that process is thinking about what staff we need in order to serve our students. We are beginning the process right now of doing an extensive audit of all of our classes and all of our staffing positions. And so we're looking at really defined data on what we may need that we need to provide for our students next year. Part of that process is meeting with building leaders, and I want to compliment Mr. Wallace, our Director of Human Resources, who will lead that process. So we're evaluating what positions that are vacant that we need to replace and what positions we may not need and that we may be able to reduce. Mr. Wallace will lead an extensive recruitment, interviewing, and selection process in collaboration with our building leaders. And at the end of the day, we're going to hire the very best staff for our students because they deserve nothing less. Organizations go through change, and sometimes that change happens at the leadership levels, and that's happened here in Sycamore. At the conclusion of this year, we will bid farewell to two highly respected and esteemed principals, Mr. Ron Brooks, principal at Mapledale, and Mr. Phil Hackett, principal at E.H. Greene School, are continuing with their life's journeys. And we are in the process of determining who will be the next building leaders. I'm anxious to report and excited to report that we've identified the next principal at Mapledale Elementary. Anne Marie Reinke, current assistant principal at Mapledale, will assume the helm at Mapledale and continue the excellence that is that great school. At Greene, as of this taping, we are in the process of determining who the next principal will be. Here's my commitment. The process will be a very extensive one to identify the next principal. The shareholders of Greene School, that would include students, staff, and parents, will be involved in that process, and part of that process will involve them helping us develop the profile of what the next leader will be of Greene School. Also, when the interviewing process starts, when we identify the top level candidates for that position, staff and parents will be involved in the interviewing process, and it'll be my hope that we will have an announcement about the next principal at Greene later this spring. We've attempted to be more proactive in our communication and looked at the ways we deliver important information to you. Our presence on social media has grown like it's never grown before. Our enhanced website is at the top of the line in terms of how we communicate information to you. But we're not done. We need information, and we will be asking information from you in terms of what we can do to better enhance our communication. So I'm asking you to look for a survey from us later on this school year and as we approach the end of the school year. That will be your opportunity to provide us on the kinds of things we've done in our attempts to be proactive communicators. We need that feedback. We will take that information and we will look at ways that we can adjust our communication. So as superintendent, I am honored every day to serve this great community. I look forward to a continued positive end of this school year, and as we look forward to the 16-17 school year, we will put in and continue to put in good place and good plans to serve your students.